Hello, guys, and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga, Matchday 18th. We just had games in the middle of the week, Radek, and we had a very successful week also with your ACCA.
Yeah, unfortunately, Union Berlin didn't win with 2 goals. Then we would have won 36 in odds. But anyway, the 2 other games were right, and Union Berlin didn't break the ACCA with a win. At the end, around 7.5 to 8 in odds winning, and I hope you all had a good time with it. Thank you.
Not bad at all. Also, you caught some draws. So let's try another match day. This Bundesliga is very interesting this year because Bayern Munich keep dropping points. So let's analyze this new match day. Remember, guys, as always, leave your comments, your tips, and don't forget, press the like and subscribe. And the new match day starts on Friday with Leipzig Stuttgart. We were mentioning that we expect a lot from Leipzig in the second part of the season. And, well, they drew with Bayern, always a positive result. And they scored 6, was part of your ACCA. This Leipzig thrashing Schalke, even playing away, won 5 and drew 1 in the last 6 games. I guess we should expect them to keep the streak against Stuttgart.
Yeah, sure, because Stuttgart is not very good at the moment. They also had a good result at the end, drawing against Hoffenheim. 2-2 is not a bad result, but they were leading a long time of the game. And so, at least they didn't lose their first 2 games in this year. With their new coach, Bruno Labbadia, maybe they seem to see some kind effect for the change of the coach. And at the other side, Leipzig is a class of its own, it seems, at the moment, because they didn't lose against Bayern Munich. That's a good result. And then thrashing Schalke, as you said, with 6 goals. Anything else than a Leipzig win would be a surprise. And I don't like the odds on Leipzig. They're only 1.46. And at this low odds, I don't bet on 3-way bets. The other option is betting on Asian handicap -1 on Leipzig, but you still got no brilliant odds. I would not recommend this as a single bet, as you only get 1.7 around. And that's not worth it for an Asian handicap bet, because we want high odds above 3 with Asian handicap -1, and you only get the half of it if you bet on this Leipzig. But I found something special. I usually don't bet on corners, but in this situation, Oddspedia showed a really interesting stat at the corners, because both had problems to get over 9.5 corners in a game. That's why I thought we might bet on under 9 corners, and we get odds of 1.9.
Okay, then let's go for the corners market. Actually, I was checking the Bundesliga page, and for the over 9.5 corners, Leipzig only did it 6 times this season. So only 35% of the games for Leipzig went over 9.5 corners. So you found good odds going for under. Well spotted. Radek, next game on Saturday, we have Freiburg, Augsburg, same odds for Freiburg to win at home as the ones we saw for Leipzig to win at home, 1.6, but Freiburg is a little bit less reliable than Leipzig. Recently, they got a draw against Frankfurt after that 6-0 defeat in Wolfsburg. And as always, Radek, they play against Augsburg, a team very difficult to predict. They beat Gladbach. They are out of the relegation spots. You mentioned that it's difficult to bet on Augsburg games, and they gave us a surprise in the middle of the week.
Yes, and as I told you last video, that Augsburg is good against good opponents, and weird bad against bad opponents. And so, yeah, they won at home against Gladbach. That was a small surprise, but someone in the comments wrote also, this is a trap, and it was, obviously. So good guess. And in this situation, I think we should rely on the home strength of Freiburg, because they had, to be honest, only 2 really bad games in this season. And in these bad games, they lost very high against Bayern Munich and against Wolfsburg. But on the other hand, last game against Frankfurt, also a great team on spot 4 in the standings, they managed to keep 1 point at home. And I think they're still a good team, and they are especially good at home. And that's why I prefer on a double chance on Freiburg at home, as Augsburg is for sure not the best away team. But we don't get any odds, because everyone knows that Freiburg is stronger at home. They're way better in the standings. We only get 1.6 in odds. And so it's the risk is too high betting on a Freiburg win here, as we saw a lot of good games of Augsburg too, and they for sure can make a point at least here. So in games like that, when we have a favorite with so small odds, but they are not really favorite, I don't touch it. Or the other option is just betting on a draw, because you get a lot of big odds on a draw here. And so 4.6 or even, every draw odd higher than 4 in a game like this is a value bet in my eyes.
All right, Freiburg, they are now out of the European spots, but only 2 points away from Union Berlin, or 5 from the top in the standings, Bayern Munich. So everything is really compressed in the Bundesliga. That's why I said it is very exciting this season, the Bundesliga. I'm talking about the second in the standings, Union Berlin. This is a derby, of course. Hertha, Union Berlin, with Hertha really in trouble. They are penultimate in the standings. They were awful again against Wolfsburg, 0-5, as you predicted as well. Also, they got defeated against Bochum. So really bad after the break. Whereas for Union Berlin is the opposite, Radek. It looks like they needed a break, and they are back in track. 2 victories after this break.
Yeah, great. And for sure, we all know that they are not really great playing away, and they are super home strong, but they proved that the special thing about Union Berlin is that they can win games. They want to win games. That's a high quality in mentality, as beating Werder Bremen 2-1 is hard enough, because we know what happened to Dortmund, for example, when they played against Werder Bremen. They got 3 goals in the last 5 minutes or so. And so it's hard to keep this 2-1 at home and collect 3 points in such a game. And that's really a quality. And now they are not really a away team, because that's a derby in the capital. They're playing in the same city, so not a long way to travel. And I'm not really a fan of the past games of 2 teams, but in this situation, it's obvious that Union Berlin is always a bit more motivated in derbies against Hertha, as we've seen 4 victories in the last 4 games for Union Berlin against Hertha. And in this situation, when Hertha is really bad and Union Berlin is rocking again, I press my thumbs again for Union Berlin. And I hope it's enough again that they might win this game. So I would say, let's try another Asian handicap -1 on Union Berlin. We get odds of 3.5 around. And at the end, on a normal day, they should beat Hertha. But as we know, in the Bundesliga, there are almost no normal days.
Well, Union Berlin won the last 4 derbies, including a cup game, and in the last 3 Bundesliga clashes in the capital, Radek, all of them, the bet Union Berlin Asian Handicap -1 would have been correct, actually, because they won at least by 2-goal difference in the last 3 games. So let's try another one. And next game is Hoffenheim, Gladbach. Hoffenheim was the team that got a draw against Stuttgart. You mentioned that Stuttgart took the lead in that game. At the end, Kramaric scored a late goal and they got a point. It was the first point for Hoffenheim after 4 consecutive defeats. And Gladbach is one of these teams also that they are difficult to predict, but we know, Radek, that they are very bad when they play away. Still no victories.
Yeah, and at the end, they're both horrible teams to bet on, as I thought Hoffenheim at home against Stuttgart, this should be a win. And at the end, they were really lucky to keep at least 1 point. Now, again, playing at home, and Gladbach is also, starting with 2 losses in this year against Augsburg, they shouldn't have lost, and against Leverkusen, it was a clear thing for Leverkusen, as Mönchengladbach only scored in the last 10 minutes 2 goals, and it was too late by far. And I really don't see a winner here as well. The odds on Hoffenheim are ridiculous with 2.0 because they're not better than Gladbach, only because Gladbach didn't have a win away. So I also tend to a draw here, because if you look at the stats, they are almost equal, almost the same team. And so a draw with 3.9 is really good.
All right, draw. Next game, we have Mainz Bochum. This is an important game for the relegation battle. We have Bochum back in the bottom 3 after the defeat against Leverkusen, and we have Mainz. Also, they got defeated by Dortmund. No victories in the last 6. Important game for both teams.
Yeah, and the home advantage might be the point here, as Mainz was not really good at home this season, but they only got 11 goals conceded at home. That's not really much, as alone against Dortmund too, okay. But they had some good games anyway, and no team always plays the same style. So if a team is not winning a long streak, so it's more realistic that they might win someday. And the odds are favorite for Mainz, 1.7. This is for sure way too low. But Bochum also has a very bad defense. I think they have the most goals conceded with 39. And it's kind of impossible to bet on it for me, because I would say in a tipping game, 2-1 for Mainz, but this is the same situation as we have in the Freiburg game. If you have a favorite who is not really a favorite, and Mainz after this bad streak is not a favorite in a game in my eyes, and that's why we should not bet on them. No matter what, and the draw odds are 4.1, and I read the comments that I always bet on a draw because I don't have a clue, maybe. But it's not a shame to have no clue, because you can't know everything. It's good enough to know when to bet and when not to bet, and that's the difference between pros and
especially the future. It's impossible to read the future. We try to do our best, of course, and give you all the information and point out the best odds, but we don't know what is going to happen in the future. But for sure, we can't tell you what is a value bet or where we see value. And perhaps when I was checking this match day, I saw value in the next game, Werder Bremen Wolfsburg, because we have Wolfsburg to win 2.26, and Bremen, they are in a very bad moment, conceded so many goals. Remember, they lost to Union Berlin 1-2, but against Cologne, they got 7. They conceded 7, and we have Wolfsburg ready to jump into the European spots. They scored 11 in the last 2 games and conceded 0. 6 consecutive victories for 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐽𝐻 team. They are really informed, Radek.
Yeah, and the impressive thing is that if you compare the home standings and the away standings, what you should always do, and we see Wolfsburg is one of the best away teams, and they have a streak with a lot of winnings in a row. So I really also don't understand the high odds on Wolfsburg, because Bremen was horrible in the last games and they really have problems. And they also are a bad home team and only 3 victories at home. And a team like Bremen, who has to be collect a lot of points against the relegation, has to win games at home, and they didn't. So they were great in the first half of the first half of the season, so the first quarter of the season. But it seems that now every other team knows the style of Werder Bremen, and it was easy for Cologne to beat them very high. So Wolfsburg in this shape must win. So this is the point. At the end, we only can compare the probability with the odds. And in this situation, as you said, we have a value bet. The odds of 2.23 on Wolfsburg in a 3-way bet are really good. We can go for that. But as I am on a winning streak as well, I would say Asian handicap -1 on Wolfsburg is also a good bet. We get odds of 3.3 here, and if it's a draw, we lose anyway. So we just have to trust Wolfsburg again, that they continue to play like this.
Ambitious. Let's do it. Next game, the best one in this match day. Well, there are a couple of good ones because we also have Dortmund Leverkusen, but Bayern Eintracht, of course. This is the first against the fourth Bayern. They've started the year not so well, struggling. Draw against Leipzig, draw against Cologne. Actually, if you haven't seen the goal scored by Kimmich, oh my God, what a missile, what a rocket scored Kimmich, one of my favorite players. And now they have to play against Frankfurt, only 5 points away from Bayern. If they are able to get a point or even to win in the Allianz Arena, there is a lot of things to be said about the Bundesliga title this season.
Yes, this would be awesome, and I would love to see that, because it's so lame that Bayern Munich dominates the league for 10 years now. And even if I press all my thumbs in the international games for Bayern Munich, because I grew up in the city, and I for sure am a fan of it, but not at the moment. So I hope that Frankfurt really has a chance, but this is more motivated by hope, to be honest. The stats are kind of clear, as we remember the first game of the season. At Frankfurt, Bayern Munich scored 6 goals in the first game. But the last 2 games, Cologne showed how to get a point at Munich, really impressive. And they almost won the game, as you said. This goal by Kimmich is just unrealistic. Doesn't happen too often. And Frankfurt for sure has the quality on their best day to beat Bayern Munich if they have a bad day. And if this is the case, then I would say maybe another draw, and we have really high odds on a draw of 6.2. And to be honest, I would have betted on Bayern Munich if they would have odds of 1.7 or higher. But I really don't understand the low odds here, because Frankfurt is, that's no respect for Frankfurt, as they really did a great job. But on the other hand, everyone knows that Bayern Munich just needs one little difference, and they will thrash Frankfurt as well with 4 goals. And this can happen anytime, and especially after they didn't win 2 games. And I really like the odds on a draw. 6.2 are really good.
Last season, Frankfurt were able to win actually in Munich in the Allianz Arena 1-2, but this is very odd and is very difficult also, as you said, no, seeing Bayern Munich not to win 3 games in a row in the Bundesliga. And for Sunday, we have 2 more games, Schalke Cologne, Cologne to win 2.25, and right now anything to beat Schalke looks like a safe bet. What to say about Schalke? Everything is going badly, whereas for Cologne, as we've mentioned, they were able to draw against Bayern, and especially in the first half, they were very ambitious and they pressed very high and they had chances, and also they were able to beat 7-1 Werder Bremen. So why don't we go for these odds for Cologne?
Yeah, we have to. No other option, as Cologne was really impressive. I didn't expect that because the results before the break in the last 3 games they lost in 2022 against not really great teams like Hertha and 𝐜𝐭𝐴𝐬𝐿everkusen, but they also had problems during this time. And so Cologne, maybe changed something, and but the only chance we have here is that they are cursed now after collecting a point against Bayern Munich. There have been a lot of teams in the past who couldn't win their next game. And even if they were huge favorite, like in this situation, you have to compare. You play against the best team in the world and you get 1 point. You think you're a Superman, and then you play against the worst team, Schalke. You don't want to even move your feet because you think it runs by itself. And then this is the chance for even Schalke playing at home in front of their great audience. You have to keep in mind that even Schalke will win some games this season, and they will not lose any game, as they had also a good game against Frankfurt. They lost 3-0. That's their problem, but they had a good game. Against Leipzig, okay, this was completely other thing, but Leipzig is, as we said, a class of its own. So at the end, if we go with the trend here, we have to bet on Cologne here. The odds are 2.0, 2.2 around for Cologne. Mm-hmm. Personally, I won't bet my money on Cologne, but I would say this is the best thing you can do. And if you go with Cologne, there's also even a better value bet if you bet on Asian handicap -1 on Cologne, because any team plays against Schalke. If they win high most of the time, as we've seen with Frankfurt 3-0 and Leipzig 6-1, and also Cologne showed that they can beat teams like Bremen 7-1, and so Asian handicap -1.
Okay, yeah, now the odds have dropped actually, as you've mentioned. Cologne to win is around 2.0, and Schalke, they are the team that has conceded more goals in this Bundesliga. 41 right now, only 9 points. They are now 7 points away from the salvation. So at one point, as you've mentioned, they have to win a football game. And the last game of the match day is a good one. Bayer Leverkusen, Borussia Dortmund, with Leverkusen in a really good streak, beat Bochum, 5 consecutive victories. And with Dortmund, as we've said in our previous video, we wouldn't put our money on Dortmund to beat Mainz, as actually they did beat Mainz, but in the very last minute. Reina scored the winner. Not sure if we should put also our money on Dortmund. This is a tough one. Would you trust Leverkusen or Dortmund?
Yeah, you can't trust any of them because, as you said, Leverkusen was not really good. And now in 2023, it seems that they got better. But we just have to have a look on the away stats of Dortmund, because they are really horrible. And they lost 5 games in the season, and that's really bad. And I know they made 3 points at Mainz, but you have to watch the game closely. It was a 1-1 till the 90th and 4th minute, and then they got lucky again and to win this game. So there's really no big quality in this Dortmund team when they're playing away, especially. And on the other hand, Leverkusen seems to be improved now. So I tend a little bit to Leverkusen in a If you ask me for a kind of a safe bet, I would say Asian handicap 0 on Leverkusen. We get odds of 1.8 around, or even 1.9 if you're comparing odds on Oddspedia. This can be an option, but to be honest, also it's hard to beat Dortmund, and that's why all comes to a draw. Last game also a draw, because odds are 3.8. But I understand everyone who bets on Leverkusen. But what I for sure won't do is betting on Dortmund something.
Indeed, always struggling when they play away. This is, in your opinion, the fourth chance to get a draw. Only if you get one out of these four, actually, it would be good for you. You would make profit with these odds. 5 defeats already for Borussia Dortmund when they are playing away, and 4 victories. Actually, they haven't drawn yet a game when they play away. These are Radek tips, very successful in the midweek games, also very successful, your 𝐿𝐭𝐴CA and your safe bet. So looking forward to listening to your safe bet first, Radek.
Yeah, really, last game day it was so easy, it seemed easy, but in this game day I really struggled to find a kind of safe bet, because I really think there is no safe bet on this game day, and the only or the statistically safest bet in my eyes is betting again on Wolfsburg Asian handicap 0, as they are on a streak. They are a good away team. They play against a really bad team with Werder Bremen. Three good reasons to bet on Wolfsburg, and at top they have great odds, and 1.6 for Asian handicap 0 that Wolfsburg is not losing at Werder Bremen is the best bet. But I'm still very skeptical, especially after a game day when I won almost everything, that you have to be grounded, and you know that there are other days like this maybe where you are missing everything. And so it's really hard on this game day. But yeah, Wolfsburg still is a good thing.
All right, and your 𝐿𝐴CA?
Yeah, and I'm going again for the big one, yeah, this is the only option here. I think that we have to find 3 good winners and then go on Asian handicap -1 on them, as a regular win is not giving us the biggest amount of money if we win the 𝐿𝐴CA. So I would say Leipzig, Union Berlin, and Wolfsburg winning with at least 1 goal in advantage. If all win with 2 goals in advantage, we have odds of 19. That's not so high than last week, but still attractive. But to be honest, a really hard game day.
Okay, let's try our best. As always, remember, guys, that you can comment in the videos if you agree, if you are going to back Radek tips. And, of course, see you next week. Don't forget to press the like and subscribe. Thank you, Radek. See you next week.
Thank you. Have fun.